Shalom Aleichem. We're going to continue another 10 minutes in Sichos Haran. We're up to Yitzchok 19. Okay? So he starts off Omar. He says, Omar, this is what Nachman was saying, Nechsafti ma'oid, I have a great desire, Lahamshech es ha'olam, to be able to, draw to the world, El Asiya, that it's become, that this is what we do. She chiv eitel kol echad the echad lilmod kach v'chach b'chol yom v'lo yaver v'chayotzai. This is Reb Nachman saying that he has this great desire to bring to institute, into the world that there should be a chiv that every single person, every yid, that every single day you have to learn a certain amount. Chak v'lo yaver. This is Reb Nachman, from 200 years ago. This is a great desire, and this is what he said over. And he said, and he says that even those people that are far away from kedusha, very far away, that they're trapped in this the Mitzidara, they're trapped. You see, look at the way he spoke. And until they got accustomed to do Averis Chaz v'Shalom. This is the Heilige Reb Nachman, 200 something years ago. One l'slan, Rachwan l'shezvan. He says Rachwan l'slan, and Hashem should save them. Okay. He says, even though he says koyach shalat Torah, he says the koyach of studying Torah, godel kol koch, it's so great. And he says he says that just by studying the Torah, it has the koyach to bring them out, of these averas that they are accustomed to, chaz v'shalom. He continues. He says, he's saying that if these people, even if they're trapped in the averas, if they would make a choik kaviyah, I mean, every day, the chiyav chozak lilmod b'chol yom kach v'chach, year after year, he says, if a person, would make this as a choik kaviyah, that every day you have to learn a certain amount. He says, he says, certainly they'll be able to come out of this trap of the of the Yitzhak that they're in. They have Torah, through the studying of Torah. Koyach Torah godlum oid, he says, because the koyach of Torah is so great. Okay, so I'm just gonna continuing. This is Reb Nosson, saying that the main focus and desire of Reb Nachman was constantly rakle ivdos, to serve Hashem, kedusha, to do avoid and actions of kedusha. B'lishim chachmas klal. That was his main focus. That what we should go about serving Hashem and doing the mitzvahs with no sophistication, no chachmas. Rather shenasek tomed asiyah kedusha b'shitas. And so Reb Nosson recounting that rather he wanted us to just occupy ourselves with doing, the mitzvahs, but pshitas with simplicity. The Haini, meaning laharbas b'limud Torah, to do a lot of limud Torah, velas mitzvahs, harbe b'chol yom, to do a lot of mitzvahs every single day. Laharbas b'svila v'zachaninim tomed, that they're constantly davening and doing tachaninim. Akol b'shitas b'li shem chachmas. This was his main focus. And we should do it all with simplicity, without no chachmas. Continuing. The hizma oid lias b'simcha tomed, and also he pretty much warned us, constantly, to very much be b'simcha, constantly. And he spoke a great deal about this. This is Rav Nosson recounting. Many simcha kamvar b'svarm akadoshim. About the Indian of being the simcha constantly, as it's brought down in the svarm. Ach Yosim is that, but he says even more that's printed in the Svarim. Rav Nosson is recounting Hibril Dabri Money Baal Peh. He would just speak to us constantly, just with his mouth. The Hizr Ma'oid, and he very much made us aware. B'chama as Horus with many warnings. Kama v'chama pa'om lios ach sameach tomet. That we should constantly. The main thing is to be besimcha constantly. Okay. That is, 19. That's the end. So just to sum this up a little bit, look, this is, Reb Nosson, telling us over, he mamish recorded this conversation. It's for us. It's. We get tremendous chizuk. We see how, Reb Nachman 200 plus years ago, he had a great desire to put in mamish like we should have like we have to every day to learn, a certain amount, chok v'lo yaver, and he explains because this is so important because even if someone's trapped in the Averis, which you have to realize 200 something years ago, we talking to the firm people over here, we weren't trapped as much as we are today. We have to know. It's very important. We're in Golis almost 2,000 years, right? So for 1,700 something years, for the most part, there was the from Jewish people. We did the mitzvahs. Nachman's time is, that's when the things started changing a little bit. But again, I'm talking to the from people. But Reb Nachman was able to foresee, and all the tzaddikim, many tzaddikim of that generation, because Chazal tell us the danger that we're going to be, getting into as we get closer and closer to Mashiach, right? And Reb Nachman, he gave tremendous chizuk that the main thing is to, stay connected to studying Torah, because he says the power of studying Torah, but you have to make it a chok v'lo daily, He says that can pull a person out, even if he's trapped in the whatever areas it is. And that is recounting that Rav Nachman's main focus and his main way of serving Hashem was, just without any sophistication, simplicity, kavana, but be v'simcha and go about our day like that. Okay, we're gonna do one more chaf. Yeah, continuing. 20. Yeah, he says. Adam kol yom b'simcha is Nachman was explaining that when a person makes it a whole day he's focusing on being b'simcha. As I've been nokel loy liyachid loy shor b'yom. Then he's saying it'll be easy for him to set aside 1 hour every single day l'shaber levoy to break his heart ilasiach asher im levava the Hashem Yisbarach kavor yishlani kavapom, as explained many times in the past. This is Rav Nosson recounting. Now, so he's explaining that if a person spends his day and he hasn't in mind to stay b'simcha, then it'll be easier for him to set aside 1 hour, and this is the concept of setting aside 1 hour of his boydedus, and kind of break your heart to Hashem and talk to Hashem. Continuing, he says, he says, but however, if a person has atzvus chas v'sholom, he has sad thoughts. We're talking over here just like without the awareness of being the simcha, automatically we're drawn to the atzvus, because that's the world that we're surrounded in. Continuing, talking to the from people, that's what I'm talking to. So, the world around us is drawing us to the world, So if you're staying connected to Torah mitzvahs, it's which pulls you away from the world, right? Because Torah mitzvahs, if you stay connected, it's showing you, understand, the times we're living in, but don't get caught into the world, right? So you have to constantly remind yourself you have to be b'simcha, right? So Nachman was explaining, again, this is 200 years ago, he's giving these eitzes, yeah? Before, 200 years ago. He says, when we have atzvus, then he says, kosher loy lesboid for Sichos. Then it's actually going to be very hard to pull yourself away for an hour. Continuing, I'm welcome Achar, he says, and he says, look at this, in a different place, and it's in the Haran, where he says, Kam Adam tzarich l'schazek lias samech tomid. How, he explains over there how much a person has to strengthen himself to be constantly b'simcha, and be yoyse b'shas tefillah. He says, and even more when you're davening, you have to be b'simcha when you're davening. And we have to, basically force ourselves with all our strength to, to merit to have this constant simcha. Simcha is it's a state of mind. It's a constantly, you're excited. It doesn't mean, it's not hoideless. You're not just jumping around and, being silly. Simcha is a state of mind. You're waiting for that, whatever, tax refund, whatever it is, it comes, you're holding in your hand, there's a certain excitement. When a person has wisdom, knowledge, understanding, there's a certain excitement. And so, with Nachman, all this form, obviously, in the Torah it says, right? Simcha it's a state of mind, and the Sfarim very clearly explain we have to, be in this constant state, because when we're in this constant state of simcha, then it's like we're on, it's like be on, then you can see. Similarly, Torah mitzvahs shows us how to, work on ourselves, work on our midas, and the main thing is to be in a state of simcha. As we'll soon see as we continue, simcha that Rav Nachman was talking about, and all this, this form, because simcha, we have to understand what simcha is, because we have to be in this constant state of simcha. Okay, continuing. And he says, "V'omar kiliskas simcha." He says because in order to merit simcha, is that kosher v'choved la'adam. Liskas is there. Yosim mishor kol avodas. But he's making it clear that you should know to merit to have this ability to be constantly with simcha is very hard. He says. That's what he says. He says, talking about the person doesn't have to be, you may not even know that there's simcha. Simcha, it's an internal thing. Think of like we want our homes, it shouldn't be too hot, it shouldn't be too cold. We set a thermostat, to be the right temperature, but we want our homes to be constantly this temperature, right? Not too hot, not too cold. Similarly, our body, temperature, our mindset's supposed to be constantly simcha. You may have a person that a whole day he just looks, serious, but inside the right temperature, which means, he's greeting you, you greet him, smile, the mind is on. That's simcha. Okay, now Rachel says, Valmar, he says, "Can simcha." The merit to have this simcha is that kosher. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. He says it's like the hardest of avodah. Continuing, Ona, he said, Ona Omar, he responded to this. He says, Kifi hanire, he says, because it appears she after love the simcha, and he says, it appears that it's mamash not possible to come to the state of love of the simcha. He says you need to have something, in your life, in your day, something shtis, exactly how, what this means. This has to be discussed. But he says you need some type of shtis. He says, make a shoyte, make yourself like a shoyte. Do something, something fun. Ishtis v'chili. So there's another Torah, L'kita Moran, who explains this concept. Okay, but again, when we learn this form, we'll get to hear what Rav Nachman spoke about this. But he says that because to be in this constant state of simcha, it's so hard. He says it appears it's almost impossible unless a person has some type of, some kind of Indian shtis or tzchoik, you know. Okay, continuing. He says Barak he says Barak only through this can you come to simcha again, to this constant state. Meaning you can't go a whole day, serious, because we're human. Okay. Just what comes to mind is I know in Pirkei Avos, one of the things that we're instructed is to niyat besimcha. I know niyat beschayt. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have any. You should minimize it. Okay, continuing. Now he says, he says, when a person does merit simcha, as Hashem is baruch ba'atzmai, then Hashem ba'atzmai shomer oisai is going to watch over such a person. Imatzel oisai mepkama bris, and he's going to protect him from the, pagama bris. This is the first time of Nachman in Sichos Haran is mentioning the pagama bris. As we'll see soon, he talks a lot about it. On a simple level, if you learn Nachman's form, and if you learn, talking about the Begama Bris, the Bris Mamish, to not to get caught into, any kind of a very related to that. I'm going to put this out there, but we know we have a Bris with Hashem, the Yidden. Bris means a contract, and it's a Kol Kula contract, right? Now, as we'll soon see that, Nachman, and this is really from the Zohar, that the main challenge is the area of the bris mamish. And you'll see, as we continue, this tremendous aids is how to protect ourselves. And here in this conversation, he's explaining that simcha is mamish like the main ingredient to protect oneself from getting, caught into this pagama bris. Okay, so we went over 10 minutes, but we're gonna continue over here. We're gonna stop here. Alichtige Shabbos.